Alright everyone, welcome back to Joe Man's Land. I hope you're having an amazing day. Today's video is going to be an overview of the recent firmware update that came out for both the Panasonic S5II and S5IIX.
X gon' give it to you. Wait for you to get it on your own.
It had some really nice features packed into it, and in today's video we're just going to be chatting a little bit about what those are. But before we go any further, maybe you haven't actually installed firmware before on your Panasonic camera. Well, honestly, it couldn't be easier, and I've got a video about my left hand here that goes all into it. But let's get into what this firmware update actually includes. So I'm not going to keep saying S5II, S5IIX. I'm just going to talk about my S5II, and just keep in mind these updates apply across the board for both cameras. So the first thing that was actually updated on the S5II was the integration of Frameio into the camera. This is super exciting. If you're not familiar with Frameio, it's a cloud-based data transfer for your camera to connect wirelessly to your computer.
3 teams that go out and shoot, and then we have teams of editors that edit our content for us. Basically try to tell the story of every single couple that we come across in the most beautiful way we possibly can.
This can be super useful, and I mean, with this you can export video, you can export raw files, and if you're a content creator that's needing to get your photo and video off to a client faster or an editor, this integration is amazing. It's definitely something I'm gonna look forward to trying out. You know, I find for my marketing job, I have to sometimes quickly get photos from my camera over to my editor, and you know, having this Frameio integration built into the camera definitely levels up this kit. Okay, the next big update is a huge one for video creators. They've introduced internal proxy recording on both models of camera. If you don't record a lot of video, this probably won't mean a lot to you, but when you're shooting video, your memory cards fill up super fast, especially if you're shooting in 4K or 6K like you can on the S5II. These proxy files are much smaller and allow you to record for longer periods of time and have smaller files. As well, when you get onto your computer and you eventually do want to start editing, it makes it a lot easier on your CPU to manage. And of course, you can bring them back up to the full file size once you are editing. The next update is more for photographers. They've introduced PreBurst Capture. While this feature is probably mostly useful for action as well as wildlife photographers, it's actually great for us street photographers as well. How many times have you lined up a shot you've wanted to get and just missed it by that much? Your subject is gone and not coming back. This PreBurst mode will definitely greatly increase the odds, at least for me, of getting better street photos in the moment. The next one was autofocus. First off, you can now target specific parts of a person to autofocus on, so you can either set it to eye or you can just set it to person. And in addition as well, they also introduced eye detection for animals. Now the camera can differentiate between cars and motorcycles. All right, we are now vlogging on the S5II, and I've actually put my manual focus 14mm per gear lens on the camera. The reason I wanted to do this is I wanted to see what the state looked like with absolutely zero assist from the lens. So that's exactly what you're getting right now. There is zero stabilization turned on. Everything from the IBIS to the boost IS, all of that is off. And obviously when you're shooting at a 14mm focal length, it's not going to have quite as much movement in it anyways. But the real reason we're also shooting with the 14 is we want to see if there's any warping around the edges once we engage those IBIS modes. The IBIS enabled and the E-stabilization set to standard. This is what it looks like. Walking on relatively level ground, but I am wearing flip-flops. So, I mean, if there is going to be any crazy warping, we should be able to start seeing it. The sky is nice and blue today. It's actually kind of a cool looking shot. And now let's see what it looks like if we start running. We're moving a little bit quicker. This is what it looks like on standard. All right, now let's try putting it onto high. Okay, now the E-stabilization is turned on high. This is what it looks like just walking around. And now let's try moving a little bit faster, holding the camera as level as I can. But this is what it looks like if you try to run. Okay, now we've got both the E-stabilization turned on high and also the boost IS turned on as well. This is definitely gonna punch in a lot more than it did before, but it's still not too bad. And obviously if you're shooting with a 14mm lens, you can afford to crop in a bit. But how does the warping look around the edges? I'm sure it looks a bit better than it did last time. Now let's try running around. We're running, and there you go. So there are all the different stabilization modes on the S5II after the update. All right, well, there you guys have it. Definitely not a minor upgrade for your S5II or S5IIX. I'm really impressed with how many features they've managed to pack into one firmware update. And you know, with some of these changes they made to the camera, it's gonna make more people want to join the Alliance. Sorry, I had to steal that from Jared. But all jokes aside, it definitely are updates like this that make me proud to be a Lumix storyteller here in Canada. And in fact, if you haven't seen Lumix Canada's post about me, check out the link in the description below. It will take you to Lumix Canada's storyteller page and you can learn more about me there. But in the comments below, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on this firmware update. Did you have any glitches installing it? Did you have any issues with it once it was on the camera? What are some things you'd like to see in the next iteration? What are some things you'd like to see in the next update on the S5II? Either way, comment below. And also as well, if you'd like to support my channel, consider purchasing my street photography seminar course. We go into safety, route planning, and composition. That link as well is below. But let's wrap this video here. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and remember to take beautiful photos every single day. Don't do it for the views, do it for yourself. And I look forward to seeing y'all in another video super duper soon.